Hello,
Yes,
am I audible?
yes.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to welcome all of the participants on board on behalf of RSRS in this webinar on research opportunities in USA in collaboration with Nishtar Research Council Student Forum. Then I would like to welcome Dr. Irbaz, Dr. Usman, along with the other honorable speakers for honoring us with their presence. My name is Faraz Hassan Ali Orakzai, second year MBBS student at Rawalpindi Medical University, and I am a member of Research and Development at Rawalian Student and Research Society. So Rawalian Student and Research Society, established in 2014, is a student-led society here at Rawalpindi Medical University. The aim of the society is to bridge the gap between the students and society so they can be conversant with the basics of research from the very start within their academic years at RMU. For this purpose, RSRS has organized different webinars on research and career counseling, for example, on pathway to UK through PLAB, clinical rotations in USA, and on USMLE, etc. National undergraduate conference such as Recon, along with different specialty specific conferences such as Medicon, and Psychon have been held. Moreover, we have also started mentorship program with the name of peer assisted learning, in which final year and fourth year students will guide 3 or 4 mentees from their junior years. With this, we also hold journal club meetings and keynote speakers so that students can build their CVs, skills, and become the future leaders in the field of research. Along with this, I would also like to add one thing more that RSRS is currently conducting 6 webinar workshop in August on statistical research analysis. So make sure all of you utilize this opportunity of learning. For more info, you can visit the RSRS official page on different social media such as Twitter, Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn. The links will be shared in the chat. And also, I would like to add one thing more. The attendance form will be shared in the chat. So make sure you fill it so that you get your certificates on time. With this, I would like to transfer the mic to Abdullah bhai. Abdullah, over to you.
Thank you so much, Faraz, for a very brief interview of your society. And I'm very thankful to Rawalian Research Society for collaborating with Nishtar Research Council Students Forum, NRC-SF, जिसका मैं chair हूँ. So basically here we have at NRC-SF, we are conducting monthly webinars that are not only for Nishtarians, but all medical community. And we can recently conducted a webinar on research methodology with Dr. Yasir. And Dr. Usman, so nice of him is that he joined us. He asked us that we want to conduct a webinar on international research opportunities, particularly in US. ये लोग यहाँ पर वहाँ पर हैं, they are there and they are conducting their researches. They don't need to get back to us, but we do need to get to them. So it is so nice of them that they reach out to us to conduct such webinars. There are so many opportunities out there in US, and in this webinar particularly, we have speakers from different fields, diverse fields, and they are from different countries, Pakistan, India, and other countries too. So it is going to be a very helpful webinar. And also, I am particularly thankful to Dr. Irbaz bin Riaz. He is the chair of NRC. NRC is the Nishtar Research Council, and NRC-SF is Nishtar Research Council Student Forum. So the co-chair of NRC is Dr. Irbaz. And he very short notice agreed to speak to us on the perspective of how do the people who hire the researchers see it. So basically, he is a hematologist and a medical oncologist with a research focus on evidence synthesis, cancer genomics, and artificial intelligence. And he is currently a Mayo Scholar at Harvard Medical School. He has published more than 100 peer-reviewed articles and enjoys teaching and mentoring medical students. That is a very nice of him. He's my personal mentor too. And he has a very good system there in Mayo, where he takes the students and they learn there. So I think about NRC-SF, I would like to brief a little that other than monthly webinars, we in Loop there's a on-campus research competition, poster competition in December this year. And particularly for Nishtarian students, we have mentorship program in which we would link them to the international mentors, and they are going to learn a lot from them. and the monthly meetings and all, and the link would be shared as it was done for RSRS. I think I would like to give the mic to Dr. Usman Akbar. He is the main backbone of this webinar, who has contacted to all the speakers, and they also conducted recently a Twitter space. वहाँ पे भी बहुत ज़्यादा audience थी, and still here we have a lot of audience, and because people are keen to learn, and we're happy, very, very happy that we have such seniors. He is also an historian. Dr. Irbaz is also an historian. So we are very happy कि हमारे जो seniors हैं, they are always there to guide us. वो लोग चाहें तो वहाँ जाकर हम भूल सकते हैं फिर में. Thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz. Thank you, Dr. Usman, and all the other panelists. Over to you, Dr. Usman.
Hello, everyone. Good morning to those who are joining from Eastern time. I think it's almost good evening or good night in Pakistan or India. Abdullah told me that there are some people that are joining us from Nepal. I think it's the same time zone, just an hour or half an hour difference. So thank you so much, Nishtar Research Council and Rawalian Student Organization Research Forum. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. So thank you so much. Muhammad Ibad reached out to me, and Abdullah, he was also in contact with me about this webinar. So we are all part of Dr. Faraz, where he's a Cleveland clinic attending. So we usually post different stuff related to research, either it's clinical research or, like publications and stuff. So from there, they approached me can you speak more about the clinical research, or, how do one get a clinical research position, or, a little orientation about clinical research. So a little introduction from my side. I am Usman Ali Akbar. I think most of the people are if they have like an active Twitter account, they know from my Twitter space. We just recently conducted last weekend clinical research opportunities in the United States. And I think many people, I didn't expect this to be that long. And it lasted around 2.5 hours. And the participants, they were brilliant. I want to thank every speaker who has given me the time and space for this webinar too. So I'm going to introduce our speakers and our main keynote speaker too, our panelists. They are from different fields, and you will get to know more about the clinical research opportunities in every field, like pediatric GI, either it's in Heme or either in surgery. So I want to focus on surgery because many people, they want to pursue surgery. Surgery is like a kind of a dream for Pakistani or Indian students to pursue surgery. I don't know why. I am more medicine oriented, but they want to pursue surgery, so they want to get into surgery. So for surgery, you have to build a profile. So for profile, I think Anam and Swati, they are more oriented to general surgery. So they will let you know about how to get into surgery. So I'm going to share my screen, and sorry about that. I have to. Yes. So can everyone see my screen? One of the
yes.
Yeah, I just want to be sure. So research opportunities in the United States. So it was first J1, but there are some panelists that are not on J1. They are US IMG. So just I wanted to be neutral in that regards. So I want to introduce first Dr. Irbaz bin Riaz. He's my medical school senior. He's been excellent. And he's kind of mentor to many of the peoples in hematology and oncology and overall in general. Dr. Irbaz Riaz completed his medical school as valedictorian at Nishtar Medical University, Pakistan. And he completed his master's in clinical epidemiology at the University of Sydney, Australia. He completed his internal medicine residency at University of Arizona and him training fellowship at Mayo Clinic, Chester, Minnesota. And he's now a Mayo Clinic scholar. And I don't know what is that, because I don't know half of the words from Hemog. They are so much complicated, but he's a great star from Nishtar Medical University, and he's our go-to person for every research-related inquiry. So Dr. Irbaz will speak more about the research focus and about his lab, he also recruits people. He's a principal investigator of different studies. So he will be giving us a aspect from the clinical side, like what do RPI expect from different people? Like, when someone approaches to them, hey, Dr. Riaz, I'm approaching you for this research assistant or research internship. How would you what should be the prerequisite of that, and how can I get into the system? So I'm going to pass the microphone to Dr. Irbaz. Before, I'm going to introduce our panelists. So I use this webinar picture. I'm trying to make this more casual, more fun and entertaining, because I don't want you to lose the interest. So please, it's free. It's a interactive webinar. You can speak Urdu, Punjabi, Hindi, the rest I don't know, but there's many listeners and many, I think, panelists that don't understand these languages. So please try to be more in English. Here's the first. I have introduced myself. My other co-panelist is Dr. Monica. She's my friend, and she's currently doing research in Division of Cardiovascular Medicine at University of Louisville. We just did an abstract and it got accepted to ACG. So she was the lead researcher in that. And Dr. Swati Sonal, she is doing, I don't know why, how people can, they have the guts and everything to pursue surgery. It's like a big dream. So I'm very impressed by, and especially for women in medicine, so surgery, that are, trying to do their best to be in surgery. It's very competitive. So Dr. Swati Sonal and Dr. Ariel Knowles, and she's USIMG, she's doing clinical, so dermatology, it's even more, like, Fahad, did you raise the hand? Hello?
Yes.
Someone raise the hand. Is it from the, sorry, is it from the, okay. Okay, I think it's a participant raise the hand. So, Dr. Moving, she's doing dermatology. She's doing dermatology research at University of Texas Southwestern. And moving towards Dr. Akshat Banga, he's doing also doing research in cardiovascular medicine at University of Nebraska. He recently joined the division there. And one of the brilliant speaker from our side is Dr. Fatima Zulkerman. She's also on J1, and she's doing awesome research in pediatric gastroenterology. This is more linked to AI and GI. And she's, so there's a lab, Syed lab at University of Virginia. So she's a research assistant there. And moving towards our very own Dr. Anam Noor Ehsan. She's from AKU. She's doing research at Department of Plastic Surgery at Howard. So she will be, Anam and Swati, they will be more talking about general surgery research and how to get into general surgery through research pathway. And our Mama Ahsan Masood, he's also an Nishtar. So he's doing research in Department of Neurology at MGH. And Ehsan Bhai, our loved Ehsan Bhai, he's a diehard PTS supporter, and he's doing research at Department of Hematology and Oncology at University of Michigan. So he was my colleague and my friend. He also worked at University of Louisville. So before I start my slides, I will do the slides after Dr. Riaz. So switching over to Dr. Irbaz, please, this is an interactive session, so you are free to like interrupt us after every speaker's, like everyone's slides. So I'm trying to make it more interactive, just like Twitter Space, so people don't lose interest. If you have any question, please keep it short, and please you don't need to introduce yourself, like just say your name and like you can pitch your question. Yes, moving over to Dr. Irbaz.
All right. Thank you so much, Usman. Let me just share my screen and see how that goes. I'm sorry, there's a lot of traffic in my background, so I have to keep my camera off. If that's okay with you. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I think you can.
Awesome. Let's see if I can figure this out. All right. Great. My name is Irbaz. Very nice to meet you all. I have to tell you, this is a huge honor for me. I can see there are lots of you guys, wonderful panelists, research fellows. Thank you so much for having me. I am really impressed by your participation and your enthusiasm. All right, so let's get started. As I have had a very nice and kind introduction, so I would like to introduce myself, who is still learning. I love this quote. You are always learning. I have been to, so this slide is mostly to motivate you. I have been to a lot. I started from Nishtar, and I've been to a lot of places during my training. And I continue to train. I continue to train and learn and teach. So it's fun being part of all of this process. All right. So the learning objectives of this talk are: why would you want to do research? I will be very brief on this. How to participate in research, especially in US. What are the different kinds of research opportunities? How can you communicate effectively? How to prepare for research opportunities as a medical student. I would imagine there are some medical students in this audience, and not all of you are graduates. So some of the tips for medical students as well. So why research? So can I ask a question? In terms of audience, do we have most of the people who would understand Urdu or Hindi, or do I need to strictly restrict to English? All right, I think that's okay. I don't think there's a mechanism to answer this question directly at the moment. So anyway, so why research? So you would want.
Yes, so there is chat.
Abdullah, I could not hear you, but that's okay. I think we should keep moving.
Sorry to interrupt again. Basically, in the chat, we can see that people are saying that they can go with both. No, you can be bilingual. There is chat.
All right, great, perfect. So I really want to emphasize why research. Why research in US? So there are many reasons of why you would do research, and each reason could kind of lead to a different path. For most of us, for most of you guys, it is an important gateway to US residency programs. You want to do residencies, and that's why you want to do research. For a part of it is always contribution to science and offers meaning. Recognition, if you're a good researcher, if you're doing great science, great work, you'll be recognized by your friends and colleagues. People will talk about your work. You can gracefully self-promote your work as a residency applicant or a fellowship applicant. So here's an example. Arsalan is a research fellow. He did a great research project. He won ESCO Merit Award. So we tweeted for him and we talked about his Merit Award. So, one thing is doing research. Of course, many of you are here because you want to learn about how to do it. And it's also important to promote your work gracefully. So that's an important aspect I wanted to emphasize. How to participate in research. The two main ways you could participate. I recognize not everybody can be physically in the United States, but that doesn't mean that you cannot work. Just give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my handling here. Okay, perfect. So you can, sorry. All right, yeah. So the two ways mainly to participate in research. You can do as a remote researcher, or you can be on site. Obviously, there are pros and cons for each of the routes you're going to take. But for some people, it's only feasible to do remote research as a medical student. And obviously, once you are graduated, you can come to US and do your research in US. For remote participation, obviously, you are off-site. You can work on only certain kind of studies. You can do reviews, you can do meta-analysis. Essentially, you will be able to only work on the things for which patient data is not needed. The pros are obviously that you don't need to travel, you don't need a visa. You can build professional networks and collaborators, which is a key in your career. You can publish and present. Obviously, downside is that you are only limited to secondary research. You cannot build AI models from the patient data. You cannot run a clinical trial, for example, remotely. And obviously, there's minimal exposure to the US healthcare system. But it's a great start if you want to get started as getting involved in remote research opportunity. So the on-site participation kya hoti hai? That is when you physically come to US, you work in a lab, you work in an institution, you work on, for example, a clinical trial, you work on building a clinical database. You have to be in US, and obviously here the pros are that there's a lot more versatility in the projects that you can do. There's a practical exposure, in-house networking. You can meet people. You can just get engaged at a different level. It has challenges, right? It's not straightforward. It requires visa and travel, financially expensive. Sometimes it just takes a lot of time to get those long-term projects published. So what are the different kinds of research opportunities? There are basic science research opportunities, there are clinical science research opportunities, and then somewhere in between, we call it translational research, in which you kind of translate the research findings and try to take them to clinical practice. So you could kind of participate in any of these, depends on where your interest is. There are different kinds of research positions in US when you start thinking about coming to US for research. There are research trainee positions, there are research coordinator positions, there are research fellow positions, there are research associate positions. So I'm just throwing this out for you to kind of think through this and recognize that there's not just one blanket position when you come here. There are different positions, and they have different expectations in terms of visa requirements, in terms of getting paid, and the time and effort that you will put in there. So if a PI is hiring, for example, if you want to come and do research with me or with someone else, there's some expectations that that person will have, he or she will have. Some of them are fairly consistent, I think, and I would like to talk about those especially. Lots of hard work. Be prepared to grab the opportunity when it comes to you. Don't throw it away. So you need to be fully committed. You cannot be spread so thin that you're doing 100 different things and you just cannot focus on, working with your PI. So lots of hard work is always expectation. Professionalism. You really need to say things that you can do and you cannot do, and really stick to them. It is really bad if you are unable to meet your commitments. I think it's terrible. That throws people away, it throws people off, and it's just not a good situation for anybody. So the key is that you have time when you commit, and you're able to, work hard, be professional, show up on time, and do the basic things right. I know these are very straightforward things, but it's just hard to imagine how many times these things go wrong. A little bit more detail on that is, always show up on time. For example, if you're doing remote research, so you have a meeting time. If it's 9 o'clock, it's not 9:01. It is 9 o'clock, right? Meet deadlines and commitments. When you're working in teams, your work is needed to move to the next steps. Someone else is waiting for you to finish the work so that they can take on their work. And there is a timeline. So if you slow down, if you don't meet a deadline, it's a disaster in the team science. It just doesn't go well. You'll always be learning new things. So be prepared. There'll be many things that you do not know. You will have to come with an open mind. Okay, I am willing to learn this. Critical analysis will always be important. You will have to think through design of studies, you'll have to learn statistical analysis, and just be more savvy from the stat side. Obviously, one major part of all this is writing papers and presenting in the conferences. So these are the expectations from a PI side that, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. What is your expectation? That's a really important question. What are the things that you should be thinking when you decide to work with someone? I really like this quote. Bad relations are like bad investments. No matter how much you put into it, you will never get anything out of it. Find someone that's worth investing in. This is true in your life. This is true in selecting your PI. This is true in selecting your residency program. So you need to be in a place which suits you, in which people care about you, the work ethic is aligned, expectations are aligned, and you understand what is expected from you, and they understand what you're expecting, because communication is the key. If you are in a lab and the lab is a basic science lab, and you were thinking that, oh, I'm going to do 1 year of research, I was going to publish 10 papers, and then I was going to apply to residency in a couple of years. So, but if you're in a basic science lab, you cannot do that. You'll probably get 1 or 2 papers if things go well. So you have to kind of select the right lab, right PI for your expectations in terms of what you want to achieve from that experience. You need to ask these questions. How good is the PI? How much he or she publishes? What will you get out of it? Are you going to get publications? Are you going to get presentations? If so, how much effort it will take you to get a publication? How long it will take? These are all right questions to ask. Will you be able to present your work as the first author if you finish a project from beginning to end? What skill sets will you learn that will help you in your long-term career? Remember, it's not just about going there and publishing a paper. It's about building your careers. What sort of help you will get as you're starting? What's the mechanism in that lab about helping and onboarding new people? So, ask these questions, think about these questions. It has to be a mutually beneficial relationship. How to prepare as a medical student graduate. So some people reach out when they have already graduated, which is great. It's never too late. But there are people who are also starting early these days. I think there's a very encouraging trend that, a lot of medical students now are reaching out to people for research opportunities, which is amazing. And I really, really love that. And I have some suggestions to prepare as a medical student or graduate before you reach out to people, if you have time. Obviously, if you don't have time, you just reach out and see how things go. But if you have time, start early. People ask me, when is the right time? First year med school is the right time, as early as possible. That gives you more time to do lots of different things. Seek guidance and mentorship, really important. Build an important skill set. I'll talk about them in a little bit more detail in the coming series. Know the right resources. Teamwork and collaborative relationships are the key. I cannot emphasize that research is a team. Cannot emphasize enough that research is a team science. Effective communication. It's such an important aspect. You need to learn this. This is a learned skill set. Graceful self-promotion by yourself and your colleagues. And don't forget to take care of yourself while you're doing all this. It's really important. Healthy mind, healthy body, you can do a lot. Don't give up. This is a tough pathway, not easy. So you just cannot give up. You just need to keep trying and you get there. So I have some pearls for you. And hopefully, these are some very simple things, but I would like to emphasize because they have really helped me a lot, and I hope I can share with them and you can also benefit from them. Start early. Time is the biggest asset you have. The key is not spending time, but investing it. If you're in your first year of medical school, second year, you have so much time that you can just spend to learn new skill sets. So really starting early is the key. It doesn't matter if you're not in the first year anymore, you have graduated. It's never too late to start. But sooner you start, the sooner it's more like investment. Like you put money in the bank, it keeps growing with time. So earlier is better. So don't wait. If you're in first year, start now. I think the most important thing in research in my career, what has helped me most is mentorship. If you find a good mentor, I think you have that's what you really want. All of the problems are essentially solved, then you will just need to put your head down and work really hard. But mentorship is the key. Spend some time in trying to find the right mentors. I cannot tell you how important this. Hands down, this has been the most important lesson in my life. Mentorship is the key. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. So it's just a key. I've said this 10 times. I'm willing to say 10 more times. Finding the right mentorship is the key. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. It's not just about giving research opportunities. A good mentor helps you with your life. A good mentor helps you shape your career. A good mentor helps you see things 10 years from now. Key aspect in your professional career is building right mentorship. Build important skill sets. There are two kinds of skill sets: soft skills, hard skills. Think about what skill set you would want to invest and just work really hard to get to those skill sets. Some hard skills are programming, applied statistics. Just 1 second, my kiddo is here. I have to just get him out of the room. Sorry for that. I'm not sure if any of you have kids, you will realize that, they love to interrupt when it's their time to talk. Anyways, things are under control. Back to usual service. So we're talking about hard skills. You could learn programming. Something very simple like typing really fast. I still can't type really fast. If I had invested early on when I was a second-year medical student, I would have saved so many hours in typing notes and writing papers if I learned to type really fast. It's something very simple, but nobody talked to me about it and I didn't pay attention. So applied statistics, soft skills are more important than you would imagine. Effective communication skills can take you really far. So pick a skill set or pick few skill sets and then master them. Don't try to learn everything. You cannot do that. That's a good mentorship is important. They can tell you what's important in your stage of career. So I realized that becoming a master of karate was not about learning 4,000 moves, but about doing just a handful of moves 4,000 times. I think it's the same in medicine. You pick few things in research, clinical research. For example, you can be an R programming expert, then you become really good in R. So when you go asking for research positions and applying, you can really sell yourself as a master in R programming, and people will love that. They'll realize that it's a very important skill set in the contemporary era, and this gentleman or this woman really knows this important skill set. So you'll become a really valuable asset for the team. Know the right resources. Now you could learn a lot just from free or very relatively cheap. You don't need to be in Harvard to do a master's in data science. You can learn most of those things from educational platforms in which almost free, like Coursera, edX, Udemy, DataCamp, wonderful resources. You can learn almost everything: data science, machine learning, maths, statistics, project management, and whatnot. And you also need to realize the strengths of the social media platforms like Twitter. I would encourage all of you to be on Twitter. Actually, I was not super active. I'm trying to be more active because I realize the importance of these social media platforms. They can make your careers. People post, jobs. One of my colleagues just posted a job on Twitter. So I see a lot of people looking for research fellows, and they post on Twitter. So, be on social media like Twitter, follow the right people and engage with them and present yourself. Number 5, research is a team science. Building relationships are long-term investments. They take time. That's why it all comes down to starting early. I'll share you a story of 4 medical students from Dow Medical School. They reached out to me when they were in 4th year of medical school. They worked with me for the next 2 to 3 years. And this year, all of them matched into very good residency programs. Noor Islam, Rabia Siddiqui, Noreen Asghar, and Arsalan is my research fellow at Mayo now. So they reached out in their 3rd year, 4th year. They started working on the projects. They worked really hard. They were very disciplined. They did a great job. I'm just giving that example that how they spent 3 to 4 years working really hard, with my team. And at the end of the day, after 3-4 years, I was really invested in them. I thought, okay, these are wonderful mentees. They work really hard. They're so brilliant. Despite their medical school, they spent so much time. I was really invested. I wrote very good letters for them. I tried to call programs if I could. I resourced whatever I could because I thought they were wonderful and they had built those relationships. And these are relationships that you want to build with your mentors, that then they are behind your back. Okay, Mr. ABC is wonderful. He's the best person to have, or she's the best person to have in your program. Team science. your colleagues, like I give you an example, Rabia, Noreen, they worked, and Arsalan, Manur, Waleed, they worked together. They worked as a team. They helped each other. One person was really good with R, the other person was really good with Python. One person learned survival analysis, the other person learned logistic regression. But, and when they needed help in survival analysis, someone in the team knew that. When they need help with a machine learning project, somebody in the team knew that. So they were all helping each other. They were growing together. Look for a win-win scenario. Research is a team science. Effective communication is the key. When you reach out to people, people get a lot of emails, right? People are busy, and if they see a lousy email, you haven't done your homework right, they're just not going to reply you, frankly. They're going to be mad. You have to be more professional. You have to address people professionally. You have to introduce yourself a little bit, come to the point quickly, give them the right information so that they can help you. People want to help, but you have to give them the right information. Communication is very important. That's when you're reaching out to people. When you're working in the teams, then if you're running late from a meeting, even if you're running 2 minutes late, you have to tell that. If you anticipate that you're going to be behind on a project, you have to communicate that. The do's, when you're reaching out to people, have an informative subject line, be formal, always address with the last name, introduce yourself, your name, current professional status, etc., etc. All this, but just a reminder that you just have to be very, very crisp in your communication. And do your homework before reaching out to people. Graceful self-promotion is really important. I do that. I try to do that. My colleagues do that for me. So that's why I think Twitter is really important. We recently, did a research project, an example. I tweeted about it. One of my colleagues responded. She's a national leader in this space. So I got lots of tweets, lots of likes, and a lot of people started to know about my work because I was able to put it up on Twitter, and my, network, they were able to help me promote my work. We do the same thing. As I said, one of my mentees, when she got matched, I tweeted about her work. I was tweeting about her work when she was undergoing the match process. Like I mentioned earlier, one of our fellows, he got a merit award for American Society of Clinical Oncology, and we tweeted about it. So that's now the part of the game. You have to be careful. You have to be thoughtful. But graceful self-promotion by yourself and graceful promotion from your colleagues is really an important aspect of, current contemporary, I would say, your profile building. Last but not least, take care of yourself. This is really hard. This is not a transactional thing. This is a lifelong thing that now you will have to do for your careers. You really have to take care of yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, for social and emotional well-being. I would like to, so think of if you're somebody who cuts woods, you take the axe, you go to the woods and you start cutting the axe. Day 1, wonderful. Your axe is sharp. It cuts all the big woods nicely. Day 2, day 7, day 28. Later you start noticing that your axe is no longer working. You just cannot the woods like it used to, because you stopped taking care of your axe. You were so excited that things are going well and you can do it all, but your body is the same. You have to take care of yourself. Your body, your health is the biggest asset you have. You have to sharpen your saw. You have to take care of yourself. That will help you become long-term. That will help you succeed in long-term. If you become sick and it's just not a good situation, right? So take care of yourself. Last, I should have said second last in the last bullet point. Last is don't give up. Many times in my career, as I mentioned, I will mention again that, I have been to a lot of places. I'm just saying this to motivate, I started from Nishtar. I have been to University of Sydney, Mayo Clinic, the best hospital in the world, Harvard Medical School, Mass General Brigham. So I have lots of wins in my career, and I lost a lot of times as well. If I go back in the hindsight, I felt like giving up so many times. This is hard. This is normal, and just don't give up. I just cannot emphasize this enough. There's such a key that keep working hard. You will win some, you will lose some. Don't give up. That's why you need to take care of yourself socially, emotionally, surround yourself with the right people, find good mentorship, things will fall in place. And as Ibrahim Lincoln said, I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. Keep moving forward. Don't give up. Success comes in. You see, for people who are successful, you see the success at the top, but hard work, persistence, late nights, rejections, sacrifices, discipline, criticism, doubts, failure, risk, this is all part of that. And if you cannot learn to live all of this, late nights, rejections, sacrifices, you cannot succeed. I don't know a single person who's successful without failures, rejections, sacrifices, discipline, criticism. You have to go through all that. That is part of the game. Thank you so much. This is my Twitter handle. Please, come on Twitter, promote yourself, promote your work, build your network, reach out to people on Twitter and follow their work. This is where you will find many good mentors. This is where you will find many good people who are doing the kind of work you care about, right? You can see some really cool AI stuff. For example, I tweeted about, and I might be the person you want to work with, but another person tweets about, a really good meta-analysis. And this is the kind of work you want to do. And this is how you can reach out to that person. So I think Twitter has become really a phenomena these days. You should all try to be on Twitter, follow the right people, interact with them, discuss with them, comment on their research. They'll comment on your research. It becomes a fun, I think, exercise for you and a fun community to engage with. They'll become your people eventually. All right, great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz bin Riaz, for such an elaborative presentation. And I cannot emphasize on the importance of Twitter. I think we have to say this, that Facebook is these days for just a political banter, and if you want to pursue like more in career, you have to join Twitter or LinkedIn, because I have personally benefited a lot from both these platforms, and it becomes a source of information, especially during the COVID era. Many physicians, when they, trying to dismiss any misinformation, trying to raise awareness about COVID and everything, I think that was the starting point when Twitter, physician scientists or clinicians from all over the fields, they joined Twitter to do this. So it's very important, I believe, and I request every attendees and every student, everyone to be on Twitter. So I'm moving towards Dr. Fatima Zulqarnain. She's going to present her slides because she has to leave. So she's in pediatric gastroenterology. Anyone who wants to pursue pediatrics can, ask questions from her in the chat box or so. So yeah, over to you, Fatima.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fatima. I'm currently a research assistant. Can everyone see my slide? Sorry, I'm about to check.
This is a good research.
You can see.
Yeah. So my name is Fatima. I'm currently working at the University of Virginia as a research assistant in Dr. Syed's lab. She's a pediatric gastroenterologist and a data scientist. And we work on using AI in disease progression prediction, using histology images, but also different types of modeling of metabolism to be able to see if we could predict disease outcomes. And we work primarily on IBD with a bit of global health work on nutrition in Pakistan. So this is my lab. This is us in San Diego at a conference. And we're a very fun group, but work really hard. So work hard, play hard is very important to us. So a little bit about my journey. I'm from Pakistan, but my family moved to Budapest, Hungary in 2013. I went to high school there, then I went to medical school there, graduated in 2020. Then between 2020 and 2021, it was a bit of a weird year. We were like constantly in lockdown in Hungary. So my step one kept getting pushed. I worked a little bit. I wanted to work and give like do COVID tests for people, but my mother was like, if you do that, you're not coming in my house. So I didn't do that. But I did do a course on the Harvard course website about MATLAB, which is a programming language for data visualization. But then I was looking at all these jobs, emailing all these people because everyone said you should not stay at home, do some research. And I found this UVA job posting through my cousin, went to AKU, and at the same time, since I went to a European medical school, I didn't have to take the PLAB. So I did apply to the UK FY2 standalone program. And I got both at the same time, and I got married. And this is also, I think, especially, I mean, everyone gets married. Finding a career that aligns with your personal life is so, so important. And I think we don't talk about that enough because of this idea of professional versus personal life. But you're nurturing your relationships in parallel to going on this journey of your career is so important because those relationships are what's going to bring you joy when you are at home. So marriage is not for everyone, but whether it's your partner or your pets or being close to your parents, whatever is important to you, don't lose sight of that and always take that as a factor in making any decisions. So then I moved to the US, took the job at UVA, started in June of 2021. So it's been more than a year now. Took my step 1 this year in January, plan to take step 2 in October, and I plan to apply for the match in pediatrics in 2024. And I knew from medical school that pediatrics was the thing that I wanted to do. I had pretty good grades, did pretty well on step 1, was told by a bunch of people that, you know, you did really well on step 1, you're doing this very cool research, why don't you apply to something more competitive that will look better? But again, it's about what brings you joy, and that is so, so important. And pediatrics is the specialty that brings me joy and what I see myself doing for my whole life. So that's how I ended up at UVA. So after the Twitter Spaces last week, I got a bunch of messages on how to find jobs. Now, everyone here is going to tell you something a bit different. And a lot of times it's all about luck. Like my cousin went to AKU. AKU has really extensive alumni networks, and they have a really good way of advertising jobs and gaps. And my PI also went to AKU. So the 2 previous research assistants before me went to AKU as well. So it was very easy for this to stay in the AKU spheres. But my cousin went there, then I found out about the job. And this year when we advertised the job, we tried to advertise it as broadly as possible. So by posting it on LinkedIn, by posting it on Twitter, just so that we would get a diverse, not that there's anything wrong with people from AKU, but just so that we would get that sort of diverse pool of applicants, because people like diversity of thought is also so important. So I think that when I joined, people were kind of like, oh, this Pakistani, but a little bit different to us because I have that different perspective on things. And so now we're trying to hire people from like a broad range of backgrounds and with a broad range of skills, because not everyone, I didn't do research in medical school, I didn't publish anything in medical school, but what really I tried to emphasize in my application, my interview, was that I was really willing to learn. So that's also something that's really important. So when I got all these messages last week about finding research positions, so this is what I did, but I didn't get my job through this. So it's hard and I know there are a couple of other panelists that also didn't get their positions through these like main ways of doing it, but these are the ways that are in your control, because if your cousin at AKU doesn't tell you about the job opportunity, then this is what I would have done and what I did do before I got my job. And the period between deciding that I wanted to pursue research and actually finding that job opportunity for me was very short, but sometimes it takes as much as 6 months. So if I had been doing any of these longer, I might have hit the jackpot with another to another method. So emailing faculty at universities is the most basic way. You go to their page, most of the times their email is there, their research interests are there. You email them, you introduce yourself, like Dr. Irbaz talked about, and go from there. Like, do you have any open spots? Like, I would love to work on this research with you. Could I help in any way? You check university job posting sites, you check LinkedIn job posting sites, and then there's a really cool research I found on Twitter called unmatchedmd.com, where they also post research spots that are open that they found. So again, like even just going on Twitter and searching research assistant clinical, like 5 or 6 job links will come up immediately. So it's all about just trying a multi-pronged approach, do all of these things, and just keep, like, do not give up, like keep emailing until someone replies to you. So I had someone last week send me a message, and Dr. Irbaz touched on this really well as well, so I won't take too much time on this. But the importance of that first email you sent to the PI. So I know from experience with my PI, if your email is not formatted well, has a lot of spelling and grammar issues, she's not even going to read it, because she doesn't want someone that she has to train from scratch. Like if they can't write a good introductory email, then it'll probably be a lot of work for us to take that person on and then train them to actually produce research. So it's so important to think about your audience. So if I'm a person at University of whatever, Harvard, and I get this email from you, the first thing I need it to be is short, because I have probably 10 seconds to skim through your email. And if you send like 5 paragraphs, then it's not going to work. And in that short email, you need to hit all the main points. Who are you? Where did you come from? What do you want? So again, saying, okay, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm a graduate of this medical school. If your medical school is somewhere super obscure, then don't just give the title of your medical school. Also write maybe where it is, like not even just the country, maybe the city as well, just so the person has an idea where it is. Because for example, my medical school has a very random name. I always say Southwestern University, Budapest, Hungary. And say that I'm currently working. Now, this person had written medical officer in their email. Now, in the US, there's no such thing as a medical officer. And even I didn't know what a medical officer was. Like, does that mean that you just graduated? Is that your first year working? Are you a resident? Are you an intern? Always try to use the US equivalent of whatever position you're in right now, so that other person can visualize it. And then you can talk about your USMLEs and what you're passionate about. And then always personalize it. Say, like, you need to have read what they do research, and you can't just say, do you have a research opportunity for me because I'm interested in cardiology? Say, oh, I saw that you are working on pacemaker cells in the sinoatrial node, and this is very interesting to me because I want to pursue cardiovascular medicine. I'm interested in like outcomes for patients with SA node block. So, that's why I'm interested. So please let me know if I can help on this specific topic that I've researched about you in any way. And then you can talk about your research experience, or in my case, I said I don't have experience in research, but I'm willing to learn, and I have this XYZ adjacent experience. Like I've done MATLAB, I have writing experience, I did XYZ writing projects, I have experience, I did XYZ job that gave me experience in organization and things like that. So any skills that you have, they don't have to be in research, but anything that you've done where you can translate your skills to research, you should just quickly in one line summarize those. And then you attach your CV, and then you say, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So just formal, professional language and not too much detail, but just enough detail. And as far as I saw, there were a lot of questions about the match, and I said this last week on the Twitter space as well. I don't know how my research is going to help with my match, because by the time I apply for the match, I will be there's like a lot of factors, like good scores, but I'll be 4 years out of graduation, but I'll have research, but I still need a visa. So there's like a lot of factors that affect how someone matches. So I can't tell you if doing research or not doing research will help you match. But I do know that in this last 1 year, I have gained so many skills, not just related to research, but related to living in the US alone, resiliency, taking care of myself, this is my first job, how to talk to people professionally, what is a work-life balance, and all these skills are skills that are going to help me in my career wherever I end up. So if you have any questions, you can write to me on Twitter. I'll try my best to answer them. Sometimes it'll be a bit late because things happen, but specifically about pediatric research and skills you need in research, which are really the basics that Dr. Irbaz talked about, and anything else that I can try help with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatima. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And I think, so moving towards the next, I'm going to share some slides. Most of the things there had already been shared, but there are some, so where should I, yeah. So yeah, can everyone see my slides? One of the participant, one of the panelists.
Yes, we can see.
Sure, thank you so much. So yeah, so I'm going to share what's already been not addressed, because it's kind of a similar journey from everywhere. I think Dr. Fatima brilliantly mentioned how to write an email, how to, dear doctor, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm currently working as whatever you are working as a. She's right about the medical officer thing. You can use that term as primary care physician, because that's what I was doing back in Pakistan at a BHU, so basic health unit. So I reached out to, okay, so it's right. She's right, because many of the people, they don't know. I was mentioning the medical officer thing the whole time, but when I came to, this is my second year. So when I was here, I came to know that they don't know about the system there. So when I introduce myself, I always tell them that I have worked as a primary care physician for almost 2 years. So I'm contacting you to express my interest in any clinical research project. So one thing I want to mention, that many people, they want you to talk about their research projects. Oh, Dr. Fatima, Dr. Usman, Dr. Ehsan, so you posted this on Twitter. I'm really interested in your work. I'm really interested in the way you describe these things, and everyone wants to listen about what they are doing. Yeah, your work is important, but they want to listen about what their work is all about, because you are going to work for them, right? So they want you to be seem interested in their work. So here's a brief review of my credential. This is how I usually wrote my emails, and Fatima is right. And I think one of the participant attendees in the research, he got interview from Maryland, University of Maryland. Congratulations to you. So keep emailing. So this is a very lame question you ask someone, can you help me get a paid position? Again, I told this in Twitter space. This is not the right way to ask a question. Can you help me boost my clinical skills, boost my CV to help me attain an interview call from a research like principal investigator? So this is how you approach a position. No one can help you unless he's from your family or so. Even then, you need the required skill set, because you have to work. You have to put your 110% for that. So you can mention your USMLE scores. It's fine if you haven't taken those scores. So this is one of the components. If you are a graduate, if you are undergrad, your time commitment is very important. I think Dr. Irbaz has put a second on me on this, because the time commitment, they are investing on you. You know, when J1 research visa, they spend time on your profile, they spend time on your homeland security thing or everything. So they spend time investment, they spend financial resources on you getting your J1. So if you say that, okay, I'm interested in just 6 months, they won't you know, let you come into their system, because that's kind of a loss for them. So please, you know, like at least 1 year commitment is what they're looking for. So that's more important. So I think most of the speakers and panelists, they have talked about this. So yeah, about the research CV. So please put your decent picture, should have a decent picture. This, don't put your WhatsApp picture here. I've seen this, that's why I posted this. You look cool in your WhatsApp picture, that's fine, but this shouldn't go on your professional CV. Keep it short and precise, highlight your research more, what skills you all can offer to the program, give available references to contact, because in USA, most of the jobs, they are through your references, and references, they do work, the connections, they do work in residency, they do work in research too. So yes, this is a point recently added. OET, getting past to OET is not a medical achievement in medical field. Yes, it's just a step on your pathway, but it's not a, don't mention it. Okay, so I have you know, gained this much score in OET. That's just a prerequisite of what you have to do for residency. So, and if you have many publications like plus 50, plus 70, put research that is more cited or high index are more related to that field you're applying to. Don't put cardiology research when you're applying for a GI position. Don't put your hemonc research when you're applying for, you know, like a gastroenterology position. So don't do that, because the person who is going to hire you, they will get to know that, oh, this person is just, you know, he's not going to be interested in the research what I'm currently doing. So don't do that. So yeah, so does it help in match? So I recently we conducted Ahsan Bhai and myself, we conducted a seminar back in February 2022. So it does help in the match. It does when you see, especially in surgery, it's kind of a more kind of a must do thing. And for medicine, if you are a candidate like me who's your graduation is kind of pushed back, you joined the USMLE pathway a bit later in your medical journey. So I think this can supplement and this can help you in making connections. This can help boost your CV, boost your personality a lot. So for neurology, so it definitely, because I think I cannot speak from neurology perspective because I'm not applying to neurology, or I don't have any neurology experience, but they do help in getting a neurology residency position when you have a I think Syed was supposed to join us, but he couldn't do so. So yeah, step one, pass and fail COVID-19. So when I joined University of Louisville back in 2020, so there was a COVID kind of ban to do observership in different hospitals. So we had University of Louisville credentialing. I did my observership there. So you can, once you're credentialed into the system, you can easily rotate with different attendings. You can easily rotate with your own attendings from your faculty, like just I am doing in GI, so I can rotate with different faculty members, and I can rotate in other faculties for just for my application. So yeah, so the final verdict about that. So I'm going to share, you should do it if you have a weak link in your CV, but you should, this is an old slide, so just tweak it a little bit, but you should do it in current scenarios, because the competition, I have seen people scoring 280s. That's kind of a, I don't know, I don't have that much stellar scores, and I don't think so I can ever achieve that. So, but I'm a kind of a very competitive person. So if I'm lagging in one aspect of my CV, I can, do better in other aspects. So don't hesitate. Don't be like this kid. Yeah. So don't be like this kid ever in your life. You have to be street smart. You have to be persistent, and you only lose when you stop trying. So keep emailing. You will see many examples from your life, from your medical school seniors, from everyone, that you only lose when you stop trying. And this is because people have matched with a year of graduation back in 2005. Believe me, I'm not lying. So you have to stay in the system for that long. You have to have, yes, you have to have financial resources for that too. But it happens. It's not like a kind of a Cinderella type story, but it does happen. So yeah, and sorry. Yeah, so this is I'm going to end because many participants are there, panelists, they are about to share the slides. So this is my kind of my family, like friends back in Louisville. So I spent almost 1.5 years there. This was my department, University of Louisville. This was infectious disease department. They're like like a family to me. So you learn about, this is a multicultural environment. So this is what research experience exposes you to kind of settled into a US pretty early in your residence, pre to residency life. You know a lot about US customs. You can kind of get polished about everything. So this is my current campus. I'm currently working as a research associate at Northwell Health. So thank you so much. You can reach out to me at Twitter. I'm usually very active on Twitter, and I usually respond to messages. Some of the messages they get into message requests. So please give me time so I can respond to you. I think I have my response set at 90%. I'm usually very approachable. So yeah, over to Dr. Ahsan Masood Khan. He's doing clinical research in hematology and oncology at University of Michigan. So yeah, over to you, Ehsan bhai.
Thank you, Usman. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahsan Masood Khan, and I'm from Pakistan. I'm currently working as a clinical research coordinator at University of Michigan in Department of Hematology and Oncology. It's a pleasure to talk to all of you. I can see the overwhelming participation in this webinar, and I would like to thank Dr. Irbaz bin Riaz and all of my fellow. I'm sorry. And all of my fellow panelists to join here to help you guys. I personally worked with Dr. Riaz for quite a bit and learned a great deal about research. And it's one of the reasons that I'm in University of Michigan. So thank you so much, sir. So let's move on. I prepared a few slides just focusing on the timeline of when you should join and when you should start looking for research. I know that all of my other participants have had elaborate slides on so many different things, so I'm not gonna go over the same things again. Let me share my screen. So can you all see my screen?
Yes, doctor, is visible.
Okay. So so I'm just gonna focus on the timeline for research when you should reach out. I'm gonna second everything that Dr. Riaz said in terms of reaching out early and start working on developing your relationships with your mentor, and learning some skill sets which would help you not only secure a medical residency, but also learn a lot of new skill sets which would help you in your career long term. Okay, so that is very important. But this timeline that I created, it's solely based on on-site research. Okay, so just keep in mind that when you should apply for an on-site research, when you should be in USA and you should be working with the PIs and networking and developing your relationships, your professional relations. Okay. All right. All right. So first thing I would really emphasize, give priority to your USMLE exams, because there are a lot of things that being a foreign medical graduate, someone who is from Pakistan, who is from India, from South Asia, they have this support system, they have this social net where they can, just lean back on and relax. Which you don't really find in US. So there are a lot of little things that you really have to do by yourself, like preparing your own meal, like laundry, and I understand these are all little things, and these are like last things on your list and on the back of your mind. But these things do take time, and they do end up taking a big chunk of your day. So if you are not fully prepared for this part of your journey to USA, then you might suffer. And I have seen people who were in US, who had stellar CVs, who were right on time, and they were doing really well, but because they were not ready for this social and personal aspect of things, it really made it difficult for them. So, and I know a lot of people talk about so many other things which are like very, very important and that are must, but we should also keep in mind the social aspect of things, because we have to live our life here. We have to not just survive, we have to be in a good shape, in a healthy shape, to be able to study, to focus on research, to developing our relationships, to progress in our career. So from my perspective, from what I have learned in my journey in USA, from my colleagues, from my coworkers, from my friends, this is like really important. So when you are back in Pakistan or India, I believe you should make it your priority to get done with your exams, because I have seen some of my friends who did not take their exam, and then just they found this tremendous opportunity, and then they moved to US, and it really delayed their timeline, and it delayed their matching prospectus, because it's not just the research. Research is just a part of it, of the whole thing that you are trying to create, the whole CV that you're trying to do. So exams, USMLE, step 1 and CK, and earlier it was CS, now it's different pathways. Those are like the prerequisites. If you don't have research, you can still apply for residency, but if you don't have USMLE exams, then you cannot really apply it, right? So for 90% of the people or 95% of the people here, their goal is to match into residency. So if that's your goal, then you have to have your prerequisites, and the cherry on the top comes at the end, right? So that's what I want to emphasize here. If give priority to your USMLE exam. When I say priority to your USMLE exams, you don't have to like do all of them before moving here. You can just take your step 1 and start preparing for CK at least, and be in a like really good shape when you move here, or be done with it before you move here, right? So because when you move here, as all of my colleagues mentioned and Dr. Riaz mentioned, they are looking for the commitment. They are looking for you to work hard on the research position you really look forward to. So if you are not really, if your hands are full with your taking care of yourself, with your exam and so many other things, you're not going to be able to focus solely on the research. You're not going to be able to work on those things which you were there for. You're always gonna have that thing back of your mind, I'm gonna have to go home and study, or I'm gonna have to go home and prepare my meal, or there's so many different things. So this is one thing, one very important thing which you should not have on your mind when you are in US and working on site in research. I would say it again. I'm just talking about it in terms of on-site research. If you want to develop your skills, and that's an absolutely tremendous opportunity to reach out to your mentors early on in your medical school, first, second year, third year, where you have ample amount of time. You have your social net. You have your parents with you, supporting you through your through your journey and your studies and all those things. So it really makes it easier to do all those things. But when you are here, you have so many other things to take care of along with your career and all those things. And the things that matter the most, they end up taking a lot lesser time, because you have like basic requirements of living. So yes. And another thing that I really would like to emphasize is look at bigger universities, bigger in terms of universities which have like bigger research budgets, bigger research departments, because they have a lot more opportunities, a lot more positions to fill, and they are a lot more open to foreign medical graduates as well, because they are usually exposed to working with different people from different background, because there are bigger universities. A lot of people do go there. So it's it's paradoxical, but I found that it is a lot easier to get into a bigger university rather than average size university. So in terms of research, so when you're looking for research position, I would recommend, and I would encourage you to email or use those Indeed and LinkedIn portals to reach out to those bigger universities. And one other thing, one very important thing that you should have when you are reaching out to the universities, you should have some kind of background, research background, like you worked in like 3-4 projects while you were in med school, and you have some sense of what research looks like. If you are like very fresh off the board, you have no idea, then probably those bigger universities won't really look at you. So that's some downside to it. So once you have your position acquired, hooray, you did it, you done well, but that's not your goal. That's not the end of it. That's where the game starts, right? That's where you have to make sure that you show up on time, you show your commitment, you be there and show initiative, just make sure that you shine there. You did not acquire this position just because you wanted to be in USA and you just wanted to do research only. Your goal is to use that as an opportunity, as a step in your ladder to go into a medical residency, and also to launch your career if you want to in future work in a big academic university where you would be working on clinical trials, you're working on observational studies, industry initiated, investigator initiated, and all those things. So you have to have that background to be able to do that in future as well, and also to launch yourself into a medical residency as well, right? So just don't lose your focus, and just keep your eyes on the goal, keep working towards it. It takes some time, it takes persistence, but if you do things right, if you just make sure that you are persistent and working hard, you get there. So thank you. That's all from my side. And please reach out to me if you have any questions, and on email or Twitter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ahsan Bhai. Ahsan Bhai has been inspiration for me and for all our friends and colleagues from University of Louisville. And he's doing amazing work at University of Michigan. And a little about University of Michigan. So University of Michigan, I think, provides H1 visa, if I'm not wrong, Ahsan Bhai.
Yes. They don't entertain J1 a lot. It's their university-wide policy to provide H1 visa on research positions. Yes.
So a little benefit of having research. So it's life and many things happen. And if you're not, excelling it in one pathway, you should have a backup in different pathways. So H1 is kind of H1 is kind of a kind of immigrant visa. So you can, if you have enough publication with very good citation, like such a research publication that you have to have change kind of medical field or have a help in patient care. So you can directly apply for green card. So there is another benefit of doing research that. Yes, J1 is fine, but if you have a program that sponsors H1 and you are unable to get into residency for many reasons, you if you want to go into do a PhD, you want to you have a family obligation or so, you can get into the green card thing through that pathway. So I just wanted to add that. And Ahsan Bhai mentioned a very important point regarding USMLE. USMLE is the first thing that matters. Rest are just additive to that. They are not the main thing. Please, there was a question in Q&A and someone asked me, so should I, put my school behind and then apply for research? No, please complete your medical school. And after that, you can add this as one of the things that can help you, because for most people, like Ahsan Bhai mentioned, 90% people, they will be pursuing residency, and this is because it's kind of a I would say that additive thing, and it's not a main thing. So next I would like to invite, sorry, I messed up my list. So yeah, so next I would like invite Ariel Knowles. She's USMG IMG, so she's doing clinical research in dermatology. So if anyone, there's like many Pakistani Indians or even Nepali US IMGs that they want to pursue different fields like dermatology. I know it's a very super competitive field. So Ariel, over to you. Can you please? Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Ariel Knowles. I am a clinical research fellow at...
Sorry for interrupting. If you want to turn on your camera, that would be fine too, or whatever suits you.
Okay. Great, thank you for having me. My name is Ariel Knowles. I'm a clinical research fellow at the Department of Dermatology at University of Texas Southwestern. I started my research fellowship last year, September, and I'll be applying for dermatology residency this cycle. So I'm getting my application together right now. I think a research fellowship is imperative for IMGs applying into dermatology and other competitive fields, but it can help you. But I think it's more so crucial that you do it if you're applying into, for example, dermatology, anesthesiology, ENT, and ophthalmology. And I'm happy to share what I've learned so far. So I'm from the Bahamas. It's a little series of islands off the coast of Florida. I graduated from the University of the West Indies in 2018. I did my preclinical years in Trinidad, which is further down off of South America on the map. And I finished my clinical years in Nassau, Bahamas. And I worked for a year as a doctor. So I completed an internship year. My interest in dermatology started towards like my last year of medical school. And I honestly tried to talk myself out of pursuing dermatology because I knew it would be very settle down and stop having to keep applying and hustling so hard. But I felt that my options of internal medicine and pediatrics weren't really the best for me. So I started to reach out to dermatologists, and I followed a lot of dermatologists on Instagram and Twitter. And the more I saw them, what they portrayed of their specialty and their stories to get into dermatology, I felt that I wanted to pursue it more and more. I found a Bahamian dermatologist practicing in Texas. I emailed him on LinkedIn. I did not expect him to reply, but he did. And we kept in touch from around 2017. And he is actually my PI now. So that turned into a job. And that is how I got my foot in the door in academic dermatology. But I'll talk about that a little bit more. So there's no dermatology residency in the Caribbean. University of West Indies has been trying to start up a program in Jamaica, but as far as I know, that's not up and running yet. So my choices, like I said, were either to stay home and work in internal medicine or pediatrics, or take the risk to either go to the USA or the UK to pursue dermatology. So after I finished my internship in 2019, I really wasn't too enthused about working as a house officer in internal medicine, so I took some time off. My plan was to take 6 months off, take my exams, and then kind of see what I wanted to do. That 6 months ended up turning into a year and a half because we had a series of unfortunate events. We had a hurricane, superstorm hurricane that hit the Bahamas and wiped out a lot of stuff. About 70% of my island was underwater. It destroyed our hospital that I was supposed to be working in. And then after that, we had COVID hit. So I ended up taking my exams during that time frame. And by the end of taking my exams, I knew that I didn't really want to move back to Nassau to practice internal medicine or pediatrics. I decided to take the first job I could find in dermatology, which was actually in a private practice clinic, and I worked as a medical assistant for about 6 months. So I moved to Minnesota. I have family there, so it was easy for me in terms of that transition. I was able to stay with them. I was there from January to July 2021. I have US citizenship, so it made it a lot easier for me to basically just take any job that I could find. So I worked in private practice as a medical assistant. I got the clinical experience I needed, but I quickly found out that I learned as much as I could have learned in that role. I was able to learn the electronic medical record system and billing and coding, which is very important working in clinical medicine in the United States. I knew that that wasn't the end for me. And I'm just going to stress here that it's really important to try to get into in a academic institution as much as possible, because while you can get experience in private practice settings or hospitals that do not have an academic focus, I think for the purposes of matching into a residency, getting into academic institution, and particularly large ones, as one of the panelists already said, is very important. So while I was there, I knew that it was just a temporary kind of, I described my job as a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone kind of job, and I knew it would be temporary. I applied everywhere to all of the research fellowships I could find. I went very hard in trying to reach out to dermatologists in Minnesota. So there are three residencies for dermatology in Minnesota: Park Nicollet, University of Minnesota, and Rochester. Mayo Clinic in Rochester. I wasn't able to find any contacts in the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, but I got in contact with the Park Nicollet dermatologist and University of Minnesota. I applied for research fellowships that they advertised at both of the institutions. The contacts at Park Nicollet I didn't get any of those jobs, but it led to me being in contact with one of the contact allergen dermatologist, and I started to work on a remote project with her, which one of the panelists also differentiated between the remote clinical research and the in-lab kind of clinical research. So I started a project with her, something that I came up by myself. She's a contact allergen dermatologist, so I decided to look into contact allergens in hair relaxers. And I've been working on that in the background of doing my other work over the past year or so, and we're just about to submit it for publication. But that's one of the examples of what you can do just basically on your own volition of trying to reach out to people and being willing to come to them with a project that aligns with their interests, that they're willing to basically be the primary investigator on, and basically you write it up and then you just submit it together. So all these little things do add up. And like I said, even applying for their research fellowships and not getting the spot, but having the opportunity to talk to them on the interview, and then talking to them after the interview, be like, well, I didn't get the official job, but if there's anything else that you have available that I can help with, I'd like to do that. And I actually found that one of the faculty members at University of Minnesota was very responsive, and he was very willing to help me out. Dermatology is moving away from unpaid research. So he was like, well, I have some money, so technically it wouldn't be unpaid, but we can start a project, we can apply for some grants, and we can see how it goes. So that was my job. That was one of my options in academic medicine in University of Minnesota. But at the same time, I'll circle back to my mentor, who I was in contact with from 2017. He kept asking me how things were going. He'd be like, how is the research fellowship going? I'm like, oh, it's not going too well. I've had interviews, but I haven't gotten anything. So around June 2021, he said, okay, well, I applied for some grants. If I get it, there's a possibility you can come down here and work for me in my research. And that panned out. I was able to, I got the job. He got the grant, I got the job. I moved down to Texas in September 2021, and I've been working as his research fellow since then. We look into the genetic determinants for keloid formation, and I really enjoy my work. He was the past president of the Skin of Color Society. I presented some research at the Skin of Color Society conference last year. I also have been to the AAD conference and the Society of Investigative Dermatology conferences. So I must say that this job has really been really good in terms of exposure and networking. Something I wanted to highlight about dermatology too, and also the smaller fields, is that a lot of the faculty members know each other. They either know each other or they know of each other. So you really want to get a foot in the door and find a good mentor within the field. And I think that can that can take you a long way. Obviously, I haven't applied for dermatology yet. I haven't gotten in, but I feel that all of this so far is what's put you in a good position in order to apply and to basically get the experience that you need. So some of the panelists spoke about research projects and publications. I didn't have anything published by the time as I was applying for my research fellowships. I had worked on 3 projects in medical school, and I kind of discredited them. They weren't published. They were just little things that we were basically forced to do during medical school. And I didn't think anything of it, but I realized that the experience I got from working on those projects in medical school was pretty much all the experience that I needed to do my job that I'm doing now. You just have to learn how to, search on PubMed or any of the university library portals, and you write a literature review, find out what's out there already. You just have to know how to write pretty much in order to do the job of research writing properly. So I just wanted to say that, don't discredit any experience that you have or don't have up to this point when you're applying. Try to highlight your strengths, and projects that you do in medical school actually can put you in a better position than you think. So in my research fellowship that I'm doing now, is a lot of writing, but I also get to attend clinics. So I'm actually a clinical research fellow. My primary job is to go to clinics and enroll keloid patients into our registry. So I take their blood sample and I have them fill out some questionnaires, and then I manage the processing of the samples and organizing the registry. So I kind of already said what I learned along the way, but I just wanted to basically do a summary slide. So networking and mentorship is what I really want to stress, because after all, I got my job through networking and mentorship. And I see how just sending emails, sending well-written emails and follow-ups can help you. So someone mentioned before too, you have to explain what kind of training you have and how it relates to the US system. So I did an internship year, and after a while of sending out emails based on the responses I was getting, I kind of fleshed out the email a little bit more. My internship year in the Bahamas was similar to what they would call a transitional year in the US. So I did 3 months of internal medicine, pediatrics, surgery, and obstetrics and gynecology each. That's more structured like what they would consider transitional year up here. And I had to note that it is not, my internship year was not accredited by the ACGME, the American accreditation. So they basically I fleshed all that out for them to make it easier to understand that, yes, I have this clinical experience. I already worked as a doctor for a year, but it does not count as a PGY 1 year. So I'll have to be applying, from scratch, like the American medical graduates. So you just figure out how to write the emails. You keep it short, but you also include information about yourself, because I found that by including information about myself, they became more interested in me. So even though I didn't get the research fellowships, I get responses like, oh, I'd like to set up a call with you if that's okay. And then one question that a lot of the faculty asked me is like, oh, you're from Bahamas, you're trying to do this. Has anyone ever done this before? And to this day, I think the answer is no. I don't know of anybody who has gone to University of West Indies from the Bahamas that has been successful in matching into dermatology. I have heard about a couple others who have graduated from UE and other campuses like Jamaica and Trinidad, as I've tried to dug a little bit deeper to look for these people. But so far, nobody has taken the route that I've taken. And I found that a lot of the faculty members are pretty interested in that. I also find that when they find out how much you've been trying to promote yourself and how hard you've been trying to reach your goals, that propels them to help you a bit more, instead of just sitting around asking for them, could you give me this opportunity? Could you not give me, can you advise me or whatever? So just do what you could to try to continue to keep getting that one foot in front of the other in terms of reaching your goals. I think other people see that and are more likely to try to help you. I also want to reiterate how important Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn can be. I do not use LinkedIn anymore. The only reason I ever signed in was that long shot email I sent to my now PI in 2017. I really need to go update that after hearing everybody else talk about it. But I am heavily involved in Twitter. And I do DM people on Instagram as well, because there's a huge dermatology community on Instagram, and I found that everybody has been very receptive and welcoming. So, you know, it all comes down to taking a risk versus playing it safe. Playing it safe for me would have been staying home in the Bahamas and becoming a pediatrician. But I took the risk to pursue dermatology, and I must say that I think it is going well. I hope to just have to apply into dermatology once, but I'm aware that, you know, it's very hard. Even US grads have to apply more than once sometimes. So that's my, that's just the nature of the game. And to put it simply, you just have to hustle. You have to work very, very hard. You have to put yourself out there and take the risks that you need in order to get to where you want. And I also want to highlight, be confident in yourself and your skills. A lot of times, faculty members, they won't know who you are, what your med school is. They won't even know where the Bahamas is on a map. They'll think it's part of the US, or they'll not think it's part of the US. They'll think the Bahamas is Jamaica or part of the UK. So you have to, you know, people aren't familiar with you. And sometimes they're not even willing to try to get to learn about you. But I feel confident in the medical training I got at UE, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you go to really good medical schools. Just because US PIs or faculty members aren't familiar with your medical school and your skills, it doesn't discredit the skills and training that you have. So just try to put yourself out there in a way to present yourself as best as you could. And when you have an opportunity to show off your skills and your talents, you just work hard and put your best foot forward and pretty much let your work speak for itself. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity to speak to you all, and I'm very happy to be included with this. And I hope that, you know, what I said can help you in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariel, for elaborating the dermatology pathway. We have crossed 1/3, I think 1 hour 30 minutes, and next, I think my camera. So yeah, so I would request Dr. Anam and Dr. Swati. I think Dr. Anam, you can go ahead, and we will be taking questions shortly because I want more and more people. Please don't ask questions that have already been answered on the sheets, Google Sheets, or like the slides. So please ask if you want to ask to a specific panelist. Just you can direct the questions to anyone. So you are free to. And yes, sure, Anam, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Usman, and thank you so much for organizing this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, where everyone is from. Hope you all are doing really, really well. So I think a lot of the points have already been covered by the incredible panelists. So what I think myself and Swati will now do is try to put a surgery perspective. I saw a lot of questions in the chat and in the Q&A about surgery and surgical residency and research's role in that and the competitiveness of this. So hoping that we can shed some light on this. I know it's late. I'm also in Pakistan right now. It's almost 11. So thank you so much for bearing with us. We'll try to keep it really brief. And please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A session. So these are my slides. I hope you can see them. If one of the panelists can just confirm that they can see them.
Yes, doctor, they are visible.
Thank you so much. Okay, so what I will be doing very briefly is just giving an introduction of myself, talking a little bit about what the considerations are for research. And I think I'll focus a little bit on the paid versus unpaid element, which I think a few people have also asked some questions about. And then in surgery specifically, how you can approach this. And some of this will overlap with what has been said. And I think there will be some new opportunities that I could also share with you all. So firstly, this is me and these are my parents. Like Fatima said, personal life and personal growth and support systems are imperative both during med school and after med school. I'm a graduate of the AKU Ahsan University class of 2020. We graduated in 2021 because of COVID. So at that point, when I was nearing graduation or was starting considering research opportunities, I had barely, I think, a couple of publications. One was a case report and one was just I think a very basic publication. And then I had worked on a few book chapters. And then I had multiple things in progress at various levels. So I'm sharing my story to hopefully give the sense, and all of us have shared our stories to give the sense that we have all come from very versatile backgrounds, and there is no one particular formula for how to get research or how to pursue research, but there's definitely things that can put you at a better pedestal and make you more likely to obtain a research position. So yeah, I had only a couple of publications, but I had a lot in the works, and they were good, high quality publications that were incoming with a lot of people who were known in the research sphere, which I think was something that was really beneficial to me. And I was working on a lot of things, was co-founder of the student task force for COVID-19 during the COVID time for that 1 year, and had a lot of work with telemedicine and research related to that, but also a lot of community work in that time, which I think also helped with my specific position, which one doesn't usually think about. So that's just a basic introduction of me and what my background was when I was applying. So I ended up having a position in the past year from 2021, 2022 at the program in global surgery and social change at Harvard Medical School. And this is just a trip we had to Geneva. And this is the head of UNITAR. And we work a lot with UNITAR and the Global Surgery Foundation. And I'll talk a little bit about how I got this position, what were the things that I did and what was probably in my CV that helped with that. But also what that did was, this was an unpaid position. And I will again talk about the factors that I was willing to accept to take this position up. But what it has resulted in is that now I am very lucky to work at the Brigham and I'm an incoming fellow in the plastics department with my mentor, who was my mentor during this 1 year at the PGSSC, but took me on formally and made sure that I got paid and has really been an advocate. And I think this has been reiterated time and time again, how important mentorship is. And we can talk about some things that if you can choose what you can really look for in a mentor. So that's my incoming role. And people have been since last week asking me a lot about plastic surgery. Unfortunately, I am not interested in plastic surgery. My interest is predominantly global surgery and global surgery work. And my mentor does that, which is why I have continued to work with her and how I found her. However, she is a plastic surgeon and she is very receptive to people interested in plastic surgery. So in that regard, definitely, if you're interested, reach out, but I might not be able to help further specifically with plastic surgery, but surgery in general, I most definitely can. So like I mentioned, my interest is in global surgery. We've done a lot of work for financial risk protection and sort of mitigating the cost of surgery, work a lot in India, and are shifting a lot of our work to Africa and Pakistan as well. So we've mentioned a few things about this, but essentially in surgery, what I want to highlight specifically is that other than the things that we mentioned before, that research is great for match, research is great for integrating yourself in the US healthcare system, developing skill sets. In surgery, a lot of people, especially if they're relatively fresh, tend to apply for preliminary positions, which means that you are doing 1 year and you have no guarantee of your next year for continuing your training. You have to reapply for the match during that preliminary year. So with surgery, with research positions, even though there's no guarantee, there's an increased likelihood that you can apply and get a categorical surgical position. So that means you are settled in your internship and then subsequent residency for the next 4 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years at least. So that is one thing that I think is slightly different from other specialties that is definitely worth considering for surgery. But obviously you are dedicating those couple of years to research before. So it evens out in that regard, but it depends on what you want and how comfortable you are with a preliminary position and reapplying. And obviously this isn't a guarantee. Research is not a guarantee that you will get a categorical position. It will just increase your chances of the likelihood of that. So one thing I'd like to emphasize, and we have said it a lot, and I think the end goal, like I think it was Dr. Ehsan who mentioned this, is to match. But at the same time, I think a lot of us as foreign graduates have the mentality of, we beggars can't be choosers, or that we cannot really drive the decisions that we have surrounding research. And a lot of the times, yes, we are limited in the positions that we can apply to because of visa issues, etc., or that we get limited opportunities. However, within those opportunities or the things that you're looking for, please try and highlight things that are important to you and do focus on those and apply for those things, because a lot of the times people are receptive. Like Dr. Ariel was mentioning, a lot of people do tend to appreciate your personal circumstance as well. So one thing that I want to emphasize, especially on the paid versus unpaid side of things, everyone's position is different. So I am an only child. I do not have siblings who are in university that I have to worry about. I don't have other things that I have to worry about. I knew that I could afford 1 year of an unpaid position, and I also knew it was remote for that 1 year. And it was remote purely because of COVID. Otherwise, it's usually in Boston. But I knew for that 1 year it would be remote and I wouldn't have to have the cost of living in the US. So I knew I could afford that 1 year of unpaid positions. So if for you that is also the case, then maybe you can consider that. A lot of people have asked, is it financially viable, etc. It really depends. I think it's one of the first things you need to think about when you are applying. What are you okay with? Are you okay with sitting on a bench all day and doing lab work, or is that something that you don't think you can do? Also, are you okay if you're not paid, or if you're only paid a stipend? Do you think you can afford it? Do you have the support system to afford it? Do you think it's worth it? Those are questions only you or your family members can answer, and are definitely things that need to be considered before you go into it. And then, like everyone mentioned, interest areas are definitely the best places that you can reach out to and focus on, because those are the ones that will make you motivated to continue working. For mentors, so I had, because of the nature of my program, I had an opportunity to choose my mentor. And even though there were some people who were very established in the field and probably going to be more help in the match process, I went with someone who was younger because I felt that she would relate more to my situation, probably advocate for me at a more personal level, and also I could develop my research skills alongside her. So there are many things that you consider. One is what their expertise are. What is something that you want to learn? Do you want to learn how to write a manuscript? Do you want to learn how to write a grant? Do you want to learn statistics? All of those things can factor in if you have the opportunity to choose who your mentor is. RAs versus fellows, I think Dr. Usman already mentioned this, but these positions vary slightly in terms of the amount of pay you get, if you're paid hourly, if you're paid yearly, etc., etc. But for the end goal of matching, if you are in the system, either position can help you be in the system. In-person versus remote, a lot of people have asked how to get a remote position. So for remote positions, I don't think there's a set path. One thing I would suggest would be to reach out to again, like people have mentioned through emails, reaching out to a lot of, especially alumni of your institutes, and seeing if they're doing anything that you can maybe help with, or what skill sets you can add, and you just want to start a project, or maybe have an idea of a project that you would look for a mentor in the US and say that, this is something I'm doing. And what we often forget is, even though we are IMGs, we have a huge strength of having a population that is relatively untapped. A lot of research that has been done in the US or in high income countries has not been done in low and middle income countries. So if there's a project you're interested in, and you can reach out to someone and say, hey, how about we compare what's happening in Pakistan, for example, to what's happening in the US, right? So there are lots of ways that you can really use your story to help push your research story forward as well. So the final thing, just the last 2 minutes for me, is that I would suggest applying for things in ample time. So like everyone said, like Dr. Irbaz was saying, that you're working on your research skills and your USMLEs and all of that throughout medical school. But I would start applying for research positions once end of 4th year for places like Pakistan. So end of your second last year, beginning of your last year. So the June before, the academic year before, you need to start thinking about this, because people usually hire about a year in advance. If you have the opportunity to do electives or have US clinical experience, those are great places to start talking to people and saying, hey, when you're there, saying that, oh, hey, I would love to be on board some research projects that you're doing. Or maybe after that, reach out and say, oh, I was looking for guidance regarding a research position in this upcoming year. Do you have any existing availability, or could you suggest someone who might? And those are great places. I know people with no publications who did so well on their clinical electives that their consultants were very impressed and offered them research positions as well. The other thing are pre-existing cyclical applications. So these are things that are like coming every year. For example, the position I was in at the program of Global Surgery and Social Change has its applications due in August. And they are just standard applications with letters of recommendations, personal statements, your CV, that open up every year. So you need to know about them a year in advance to be able to apply to them. And the one at the bottom is the Massachusetts General Hospital International Research Fellowship, purely for international medical graduates. Things like that you can really apply to and go for. Simply Google postdoctoral fellowship or university specific. A lot of big names like Stanford have open postdoctoral positions here that you can literally just search for. When you go down here, you can look for surgery related, pediatric surgery, urology, cardiothoracic surgery, and see if there's positions that have opened up. They've written their requirements, they've written their timelines. It's a great way to do it. Same with Emory, UAB, even Harvard. All of these places have often their postdoctoral affairs offices with position listings on there. So looking at them specifically is a great way to do it. And then, like has been mentioned before, emailing the relevant people like your institutional alumni, like institutes there like APNA, which is the Pakistani Physician Institute, or people that you have identified that have like common interests to what your research interests are. So these are just ways that you can reach out to people. And this was just a quick summary of everything, but please feel free to reach out to me via email, via Twitter, and I would love to be of help. And all the best to all of you, and thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you so much, Anam, Dr. Anam. This was such a motivating. I didn't know that you have so much on your profile, and this is so great to see someone having an excellent resume and excellent profile, and especially from Pakistan, and to go pursue surgery in US. So that's excellent. So I would next invite Dr. Swati Sonal. So this is our last part, speakers. Research slide. So I would be taking questions. I would request again, please be short with the questions. And if you you want to be direct, please be direct. And if you want to ask any like specialty related question, you can ask the specific speaker. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello everyone. Just wanted to confirm if you can see my slides.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for inviting Usman, and just to see like incredible panelists, of course, and all the participants who like have spent the past 2 hours listening to us. So it's an incredible honor. And Dr. Anam had a great presentation. So of course, I would also give you some surgical perspectives into research with like, I'll just move forward Dr. Anam's presentation into, okay, you got a research position and now what? And like also I'll just brief about, what I think are like some of the factors that played personally in my journey that led to me, that led to the current position that I have. Sorry, I don't seem to, okay, great. So just an overview of, just different kinds of surgical research, because people have often asked, what kind of research do surgeons do? So of course, you can write case reports and case series, which was just like, some fascinating surgical operation that they, or like some fascinating surgical case that they saw, which was an, a rare disease or something. Or, you can write review articles or like original research, which is essentially similar to other fields. You can write about, different cancers or different diseases, which are also surgically relevant. And also do like, so there are like 3 kinds of original research you would want to do, like clinical, which is like outcomes based, which is survival analysis of different surgical procedures of different cancers and like prevalence incidence kind of studies. And then basic science studies, which is literally like, bench research in a laboratory. And just an extension of basic science, which is translational, which is just the basic science research which directly translates to clinical medicine. So I think when you want to go to research position, I think you sort of like need to at least have a preliminary idea of, what sort of thing are you interested in. Like for me, I had a research position in basic science offered to me, but I was like not interested in mice work. So I think that played a huge role in, like my choice for a clinical research job. And then, so like currently I'm doing clinical research with my mentor, Dr. David Berger. He's a general and GI surgeon, and I focus mostly on clinical outcomes, which is survival analysis in colorectal cancer. And we do definitely some translational research in collaboration with different departments. But again, my role is more of data analytic and from the clinical side of it. So I think this question always comes up, that how to find a great mentor in surgery research, which is like super important in competitive specialties, because, unlike other specialties where, your work or your CV speaks for yourself, I think in competitive specialties, you really need somebody to like literally pick up the phone and, call program directors for you. Hey, this is a great candidate. And, like, I think that he or she will do great in the program and you should take him or her. So, with that perspective, I would approach a mentor, like whether he or she would be willing to, do that for you. So of course, most commonly ways are, cold emails. Of course, you can, I think this is a great way that I found was, editors-in-chief of surgical journals, then program directors and chair of surgical programs. And of course, like Anam mentioned, you can definitely visit some websites and like institutional, lab websites, etc. Just like, emails, of course, previous panelists have like covered it in great detail. I just wanted to emphasize, you please use a professional email ID because like that's such a red flag. Like people don't want to open an email which like it's not professional. And of course, please do spell checks and write correct names. I have known like incredible people who did not respond, get a response because they just like misspelled their name. I mean, surgeons have big egos. So sometimes that also plays a factor. And also keep it brief, surgeons are like super busy. So I would, just do like after pleasantry, I would just, so this is my approach, like just 3 short paragraphs, after pleasantries, you just introduce yourself, what, who you are. And then of course, in the second paragraph, you write about, why are you interested in their work and what you want, what kind of research that you want to get involved in with them. And the third paragraph, I would just, write about what action do you want them to take, just, that could you please get back to me if there is a research position, or could we please schedule an email? So something like that, like give them an action verb to respond. And then of course, do the pleasantries and the email. So this was my approach, but that's not how I got this position, a current position. So I did a sub internship in Mass General Hospital in 2019. And my PI really liked me, and I kept in touch with him for like a year or so. And when a spot opened in his research group, he offered this position to me. So this was like my journey to get the research position. So I would really emphasize, when you get the chance to be in the system, make sure that you do the best with what you got. And people do notice you, so make sure, always keep in mind that you are being observed, and for the right reasons, like people want to see if you will fit in the system or not. So when I got the position, I did have like 1 or 2 poster presentations, but I did not have any publications at all. So this was how I got the job. And then of course, you can use alumni or personal connections if you have. Great. Social media is again a great place. There are like international research initiatives I saw on Twitter, and some or the other person is always like posting for like research fellow positions. Sorry, I think my slides stopped moving.
Yeah, it's fine. You can, Swati, you can tell about other things. It's fine, totally fine.
Oh, got it.
It's good.
Yeah, so just like skill sets for productive research. So now you got the research position. Now what do you need to do to, impress your PI? So of course, have some obviously like basic MS Excel and MS Word, but like try to like be familiar with like some of the less known things about MS Word. Like, there are formulas you can learn. They're like great stuff in MS Excel that you can like pretty much do basic stats analysis as well. So that always helps. So my research job is primarily data analysis based. So I would like highly recommend learning some of the stats tools like R or Stata or SPSS or whatever is comfortable for you. But I would like keep in mind that, what you want to like invest in skills should be generalizable, in the sense that like some of the SPSS software sometimes requires an institutional subscription. So you may want to like invest in a tool which is like open source, and you can do it irrespective of depending on institution. And then there are like citation softwares that you may be familiar about, Zotero, Mendeley, SciWheel. So again, those are like super helpful just to know about, so that they make your research super easy. And of course, like plagiarism detection, Grammarly has like an expensive subscription, but they do offer a great plagiarism detection and manuscript editing as well. And then of course, they're like, everybody knows about PubMed, but like there are Scopus and Google Scholar, which offer a great research repository in case you want to be research literature review. So I think these are some of the tools that I use to keep my research productive. And then of course, just like unique perspectives in surgery research or any competitive specialties, by the way. So this is just again my take, may not be universally applicable. So I felt that talking to my alumni and talking to the previous people who had applied, like research would almost always required for a competitive profile in surgery, especially if you wanted to match categorical spot directly. And most PIs would want at least 2 years commitment, just because research publications of original research take time, and you may not get like too many publications or conference presentations in a year. And then of course, while choosing a mentor, you want to make sure that that person is really writing a strong letter of recommendation. So like, I know most people would, but I think making sure that they would, like, before taking that position, I think it's important to talk about. And previous panelists have covered like step 1, step 2. It's better to take them before research job. And of course, you want to take into account your years of graduation before applying to match. So most of the programs are like, usually don't like filter out those programs, like those candidates who have years of graduation, like more than 3 or 5 years. So, I mean, so taking a research year, like after that, I think it will depend on your specific situation, whether you can afford one or you directly want to go and prelim to like renew your clinical capabilities and like prove like to the, US system. And of course, J1 versus H1B visa, like that becomes an issue because surgical programs are like 5 to 7 years, and that's the total duration of J1 visa. So you want to like you have to finish all your training by 5 to 7 years. So I'm on a J1 visa, so like it always becomes an issue, not right now, but of course, like when you enter the program. And of course, some places like mine, in India, we have 2 years home residency rule. So that also like becomes a problem when you like start looking for academic careers. So I think that's it from me. Thank you so much again for the opportunity. And I'm also active on Twitter. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. So about the J1 2-year home rule, for candidates from Pakistan, I think most people, they asked me on Twitter space. So for Pakistan, it's not applicable. Even if you get a 2-year home rule on your visa, you can always waive that off because we don't have that clauses in our on the DS 2019, the form you are on in. But I'm sure about India because many of my colleagues in Louisville, they had that 2-year home rule. Like you have to go back to your country if you have exhausted your 5-year period or so. So that is an important point Dr. Swati touched. If you are from India and wants to pursue research, so you have to be careful about the 2-year home rule, and you have to be careful about the if you're pursuing residency. So because there's like I think 7 years of J1 clinical J1. So yeah, so be careful about that. So I would be opening the forum for questions and answers. I have seen only one raised hand. If you want to ask question, please don't type in chat because that would be kind of complicated for me to. Majid Rashid, I think. Yeah, so I would ask Majid. Yeah, I think Anas Ahmad, you are good to talk.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, I want to ask that just like I'm a first year medical student and I've been approaching different people on LinkedIn, emailing to different professors, taking out their emails from Google, and I am unable to take any research opportunity. I did not get any research opportunity. I emailed and approach different people. So I have my interest in surgery related research. How can I get the projects and work with and collab with doctors and surgeons remotely?
So I think Dr. Anam and so guys, I have seen lots of comments in the chat. I'm not a surgery-related person. I don't have that much energy. I'm sorry, I'm that stage of my life. I think I would go with medicine. So yeah, so I'm not the person to ask by orthopedics. The last time I touched.
If you can refer my question to them, or they can guide me.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just impressed by that you are just in first year. In first year, I only knew how to get to the classroom in time. It's very impressive from you that you are asking this question. I'm just telling everyone that I'm not a person. Yeah. So Anam, can you please answer that?
Hi. Assalamu alaikum, Anas. Thank you for your question. And Swati, please add to this with anything that you think. Firstly, I think it's really impressive, like Usman, Dr. Usman was mentioning, that you are pursuing this from your first year. I would suggest that maybe I'm not sure what your CV is, but assuming what most CVs are at the beginning of first year of medical school, if you are reaching out to people and don't have any skill sets that are specific, if you've not done any research, if you've not developed any statistical skill sets, any writing skill sets, it might be hard for people to do that mentorship from you right from scratch. I would perhaps suggest reaching out to within your home institute to surgeons, even if they're local publications, and maybe reaching out to them and saying that, oh, are you doing any research? Can I learn from you during this research? And once you have that, by the time you're a second and third year, and I think even your curriculum will have some research elements and some skills that they teach you through the curriculum, which I think are really, really important and we don't give enough importance to. I think those are great things that by the time you're in second or third year, you will have developed enough on your CV to be able to reach out to people with a much stronger foot forward. And that might be the difference. But again, I'm assuming this based on the fact that you're a first year medical student.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I'm just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so Dr. Anam, I just learned conducting meta-analysis and all the hierarchy from later to the editors to conducting a meta-analysis for, from different courses from Coursera and John Hopkins. I've learned conducting research and I am learning statistics, biostatistics now. I know how to, work or how to conduct a literature search, but I am looking or seeking for opportunities just like to work or to collab, since I cannot myself, start working on a meta-analysis or I cannot, being in the first year, I am not that impactful researcher now. I don't have any prior research experience. So whomever I approached, they just asked me that, do you have any prior experience? Then I told them that, no, I am very new to the research world. So they just don't reply me and it just hurts me. So that is the reason I was asking, okay, I have approached many, national doctors or surgeons in my university as
Anas, this is Irbaz. I can answer your question. Please send me an email and we'll go from there. I will tell you what to do next. And you can take that advice or not, whatever, if it's helpful for you or not. But don't worry, just send me an email and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
I'm just loving the energy you have in first year. I hope that you become a very successful surgeon, because this is the type of energy I hope I had, so that I could become an orthopedic surgeon. So, but it was quite amazing. You can please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, so Dr. Irbaz is also with us. So if you have any question, because he is a principal investigator and doing multiple research studies, if you want a clinical perspective or from a PI's point of view, so you can ask him the question directly. So over to the next person. I don't know how to.
Usman, I have just one comment before we move forward. I think this question has come up many times. I think it's great that we have a variety of representation from people who are trying to do different specialties here, and they can address specific questions. But especially for first year, second year medical students, the key thing is to learn the basic skill sets of research, right? How to search literature, how to do analysis, that sort of stuff, how to communicate effectively. Just the basics, nuts and bolts of research. So it doesn't have to be specialty specific from the first year of medical school. You need to build a strong foundation in research methods, and then eventually you can move on to specific specialty. So you don't have to specifically reach out to surgeons at this stage. You can reach out to good mentors, people who are going to invest in mentoring you. So once you have a baseline fundamental skill set, then you can move on to a more specific research project with a surgeon, and even your mentor will be well connected enough to refer you to a surgeon at that point.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz. So I would ask about Abbas and Noor. I'm unmuting you. Yes, you can ask your question. Abbas and Noor.
Sir, I want to ask you this one question, that how do you rate
a little bit loud,
electives? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are. Just speak a little bit loud. Yeah, that's good.
So I was asking this one question, that how do you rate electives versus research in pursuing towards USMLE?
Dr. Irbaz, if you want to pursue, yeah, if you want to answer this question, yeah.
No, sorry, my hand is not raised to answer the question. I was just trying to lower it, but I can answer the question. The question is, so, there is no, you can't really compare these things, right? So to be a good applicant, you need to do a number of things. One, you need to have a good USMLE score. Second, you should have a clinical experience in the system you are looking to apply for. Third, you should have some fundamental skill sets like, being able to do clinical investigation or basic science investigation. So I think a good applicant usually has all of these things one way or the other. I think you should just plan accordingly. So you should not think like, okay, if I do this, I will be a better candidate versus if I do this. I think everything has their own importance based on where you are applying and what they're looking for. You should try to balance your resume with, each of these components in your resume. I mean, other people are welcome to chip in here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz. Yeah. So we have 20 minutes left from this meeting because it will end automatically. So it's already been 2.5 hours, I suppose. So Shahid Ahmed 51, please be very precise and please be very direct. I want all the raised hands to be answered. Yeah.
Hello.
Shahid Ahmed.
Hello. Thank you for unmuting me. So I wanted to ask that overall, what can I say? Overall, our agenda of the whole webinar was around applying to the PI for a research position. I wanted to ask if it is right and even feasible to make a protocol of your own self and reach out to an international PI of US or like, let's say, Dr. I made a protocol related to oncology and I reach out to Dr. Riaz. So is reaching out like this right way, or is it can be hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. I think Dr. Irbaz, yes, you could kindly answer this question because it's directed to you.
Yeah, no, I think when you reach out to people, obviously, I think we have discussed a lot that what's the best way to introduce yourself. You can also mention that I have think through a project. I'm looking for specific advice on this project. Will you be willing to look over this protocol and give me any suggestions and edits? I think it really depends on how much time the people have and, where they are in their life at that point and how much time they're willing to invest in something which is not directly their project. But it is certainly okay that you reach out, introduce yourself and ask that, you have this project and you're looking for some feedback, and it'll be wonderful if you can get some feedback. So just be nice about it and ask the question that you want to ask, and it should be fine. I don't see it as a problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz. I think I'm giving you much headache about these questions. I'm really sorry about that. So
no, please, no problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. So moving towards Dr. Najma Javed Awan. Yeah, please.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. This was a very informative session. I just want to ask, as I have heard that many of the participants are the first or second year MBBS students. In contrast to that, I have done my MBBS and then MPH and then MSc in statistics. And I have conducting many research as well as a PI and also as a research fellow. And currently I'm working with a project with UKHSA. So what is the possibility that I'm at the age of 45 years can apply for research fellow job or any research associated jobs in US? And what is the likelihood that my experience will be accepted over there? Because I have 20 plus or 24 plus publication as well, and 3 or 4 of them are the peer-reviewed journals, while the rest are in the national journals. So can you guide me? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Irbaz Riaz, I have to bug you again about this question because I don't have such experience.
This is a great question. I think one thing, this is a very important question actually, and thanks for asking the question. So most jobs in US, the paid jobs, they are advertised for people with a specific skill set. So there's a lab, they have funding to do a machine learning project, they want to build a predictive model, and and then what they do is they would create a position, and then they will specify what kind of skill set they're looking for that particular position. So if you think that your skill set is right for that particular position, you should definitely apply. And my hope is that you will be, I think you'll be well received in those situations. As long as your skill set match the position, I think you will definitely be considered favorably. Another thing to consider would be to, like, you're here on this seminar, and you've learned that some of us are different institutions, and so you may want to stay in touch. And if there is a position that meets your skill set, people might remember you, and they might be able to to direct you to that particular position. But I'm sure there are many positions out there looking for statisticians, and they're looking for people with data science skills. So I think you're in better shape than people who have no skill sets.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to add that I have done 2 years course with the FELTP. So, and we have like a field experience as well. So in that context, I will inshallah contact you on your email. Thank you very much for your time.
No, of course, of course.
Thank you so much, Dr. Najma. So I think in the lab where I'm currently working, there is also a senior research coordinator. She's also, I think, have such experience. So I do think so that the position do exist. So moving towards Sachit, if I'm pronouncing it right, please. Yeah.
Hi, yeah. So I'm a third year undergraduate from Sri Lanka. So I'm aiming for general surgery. So my question is that I'll be done with my degree, and then I will be having to do my internship in Sri Lanka. So in case if I skip my internship here, I will definitely go to find some research position in USA. But if I do my internship here, I will be adding like 1.5 years to my CV, and there will be a gap. So how it will affect to my match if I'm going to apply for a competitive field?
Thank you, Dr. Anam. If you want to answer, sorry, Dr. Swati, I think you answered. Dr. Swati, if you, because I do think so that India and Sri Lanka, they have the same too, and graduation thing. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for your question, and thank you so much for Usman for directing that to me. So I do think like I know of a research fellow from Jordan actually, and this is what she did. Like after final year of med school, you're technically like finished your MD. Like even if like internship is an important part of your curriculum. So like if your program allows you to extend your internship whenever like you come back and you can finish it, I think that can be a great idea that you can take that break and do a research fellowship, so that like you have essentially like 1 or 2 or 3 years of research fellowship, and then come back and finish the med school. So technically your graduation, you will technically be a recent graduate as well. So I think that is a very important like, of course it's very well received, the like earlier years of graduation. So if your program supplies allows that, sure, that's a great idea. If your program does not, I would suggest like as soon as you start internship, you can reach out to the people that you know, or like cold emails, start research positions as soon as you end your internship, then you can start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. I would move to Eamon. Eamon, can you please? So I have only like 7 to 8 minutes left from the questions because we have to close. I'm sorry if someone is kind of, because there are so many hands. So you can reach out to us through Twitter, emails. I would request moderators to share the emails to everyone, including Dr. Riaz. You can reach out. He's very kind enough. He's doing mentorship of so many people. So he's very kind enough to answer to your emails. So I think the Eamon, Eamon.
Deepak.
Yeah, Deep. Okay, I think this is kind of
Sir,
okay. Deepak, question.
am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. You can ask.
My university, I am second year MBBS student back in India.
Yeah.
So, do community service and research in India count? And what's its value against research work done in the US? And if I do research work in the basic sciences, for example, my university has good research labs in basic sciences in microbiology, immunology, biochemistry, but it does not have that research facility in surgical field. So would it be contraindicated? In my CV, would it count as less? Would it show that I'm not interested in surgery and I'm more interested towards biochem or basic sciences? If I do research in biochem and put it on my CV, I'm applying for surgery.
Yes, Swati, I think he's from India, and so yeah, please.
Sure. Thank you for the question. I don't think like any research is contraindicated as such. Like, you know, some publication from anywhere.
Please mute yourself. Mohsin, can you please mute yourself?
Right. So like any research is better than no research. So of course, I would put anything in your CV that you can do from your university. I mean, basic sciences in general, where you can get publications out of it, because people understand that it takes a lot of time and effort and patience to get something good, productive in basic science. So that's in general well received. But like if your end goal is to get a surgical residency, I think it's important to like get into system as soon as you can and like start research position in US, because it's just not about like research to match it to surgery. Like you need to know the people in the system to get to match the surgery. So I think you should look it from that angle. And no, I don't think so. Like if you have any publications in like biochem or something, it should be contraindicated. Do what you can in your situation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And Eamon, you can talk. So apart from Eamon, there will be last question from Fahad, because we have to close. I'm really sorry, because I think the organizer, they have to say to you about something related to, I don't know. So yeah, Eamon, you can ask the question. And I'm thankful to everyone from Nishtar Research Council and Rawalian Student Research Organization. Thank you so much to all the panelists. Thank you so much to Dr. Irbaz Riaz. He has been a great help to answer. He has a busy schedule, and he is kind enough to answer all the questions. So if you have any question, because I think this will be the last time I'll be speaking to you. So about Deepak, there's nothing in life that is contraindicated. All are relative contraindications. So yeah, so Eamon, you can ask a question. Eamon, I think she's so Fahad, you can ask a question.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Please speak.
Thank you so much, Dr. Usman, for arranging this webinar. My question is related to surgery and is directed to Dr. Anam and Dr. Swati. Thank you so much for doing this webinar, Dr. Anam and Dr. Swati. So I'm actually interested in pursuing surgery in the US, and I'm a graduate of Dow Medical College in Pakistan. So I've started working on some projects, research projects like systematic review and meta-analysis actually. But my first project was related to medicine. It has been published because I just wanted to gain some experience, and a topic was like introduced to me by someone. So I worked on that. And then I worked subsequently on another medicine related research, and now I'm working on surgery related researches, but actually I've only done one on general surgery and rest related to cardiac surgery. So my interest is in general surgery. So would this impact me negatively? Like, would this be a red flag to PIs over there if I approach them that I'm not working on general surgery researches as much as other, like I would like to, but it just like happened that some projects were introduced to me that were related to cardiac surgery.
This one I can take this, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally fine. I don't know nothing about surgery.
Okay, no, thank you, Ayman. And I'm just overwhelmed by the surgery interest, guys. I love it. Please maintain it till final year. Like Swati mentioned for Deepak as well, Ayman, I think there is nothing that is negative, and Dr. Riaz also mentioned it. Like anything that you have on your CV, research related, is always going to be positive. It's always something you can add to your ERAS as well. But at the same time, you are already pursuing general surgery and cardiothoracic surgery. Cardiothoracic surgery pathway, unless for a few very limited programs, is general surgery first and then CTS. So people will not negatively think about it if you've done CTS research as opposed to just general surgery research. I have known people who have done purely vascular surgery, basic science work for 2 years, and then managed to match categorical into general surgery. So you have to just keep your thread of surgery interest alive throughout your application and throughout your research in any capacity possible, even for applying for general surgery. So even if it's a subspecialty research, like I'm doing global surgery and plastic surgeries related work, even though I'm interested in general surgery, that's perfectly fine, as long as you can sell yourself and sell your skills and sell your interest within that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Usman, I have a quick comment on this, if that's okay.
Sure. Please.
So, thank you. This is a great answer. I just want to emphasize this again because this has come many times during the session. I think you need to realize that it is really important to. I think something is wrong with the. I think signals.
Yeah, you do.
So what I would emphasize that building skill set is really important. It can come through a project in medicine as well. You can then just take this to surgery and apply it. And you can just present it in your resume accordingly. This doesn't take you away from surgery. You can learn a skill set from a project, then present yourself that you want to take this into a surgery project. So key is building the right skill sets, important skill sets, and you'll become valuable to everyone, whether they're doing surgery, whether they're doing medicine, whether they're doing neurology. Just keep trying and keep learning the relevant skill sets. But obviously, you should not lose focus from the specialty that you're interested in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irbaz. The skill set is important. That is a very take-home message. And thank you so much, particularly Dr. Usman Irbaz, for being with us on a very short notice. And Dr. Usman, to you too, for bringing all the speakers together, and to all the speakers. I would get to them personally after the meeting, inshallah. And I would also like to thank all the audience for being with us till the end. Please note that the certificates will be issued to those who have filled the both forms, and we would make separate groups now again for those who have attended, and they will get the emails of all the speakers. So if any question is missed, you can reach out to them. At the end, I would like to thank particularly my executive members who worked for this webinar, who made this possible, who are not on the front, but were on my back. Ahsan Masood, Muzammil Ahmed Kareem, Amna Mahmood, Aisha Makbul, Ahmed Ali Khan, Qasim Bashir, and Mohammed Qasim. These are the people from NRC-SF, Nishtar Research Council Student Forum, who were behind all the efforts. And I would particularly like to thank RSRS, Rawalian Student Research Society. It was a very great experience collaborating with them. They were very cooperative and they were very professional and all time available. And that was a great collaboration. We look forward for this collaboration in future times, inshallah. And again, thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to Dr. Irbaz. It was great having you. It was great learning from you. We hope to learn more from you. I would like to hand it over for the closing remarks to Faraz, who is from RSRS. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz from my side.
Thank you, Abdullah. So it was great collaborating with NRC Student Forum and
just a moment.
Yes, Dr. Usman.
Yeah. So everyone, because I think most people are students here, please working hard. Please remember I think Abdullah, you have.
Yes, I think Faraz has something to say. He is the host.
Yeah. I'm just adding.
So sorry to interrupt. Faraz.
Yeah, so in the end, I would just wanted to thank Abdullah that it was really great collaborating with NRC Student Forum. And again, I will really thank the speakers for honoring us with their time, experience, knowledge. And from our side, I will really mention Mohammad Fazan and Mohammad Ibad Bhai for making this session really successful. And in the end, again, I would thank everyone for their time, their company. Over to you, Usman Bhai.
I'm done actually. I just wanted to say it's been so exciting to hear from people from first year, second year. So times are changing, especially in Nishtar and especially in RMC and especially in all over the world. So it's pretty exciting to see the young blood rushing for surgery. Medicine is also good. Please pursue medicine too. But it's so exciting to keep pushing. And I always remember you only lose when you give up, like you stop trying. So please, if you're not getting an email, don't take email reply back, don't take it personal. So it's fine, nothing can hurt you. It's just it's just American culture. Sometimes you are so busy that you cannot respond to an email. So don't take it personal. So I just have to add to that and keep trying, keep pushing hard. And if you want to ask anything, my DMs are always open. I'm very open to everyone. So yeah, going unmatched hurts the most. Yeah, I went unmatched last year, so it's fine. Totally, I'm alive and smiling, so it's fine. Bye. Have a wonderful night.
So once again, thank you for all the speakers and the audience. So in the end, good night and Allah Hafiz from Nishtar Student Research Forum and from RSRS. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.